Ooh, I'm excited. It's been a good long time. We had a debate with Hunter Avallone, and then before that we had the fucking research stream with Hunter Avallone, and then after that we had the art stream, which ended up getting taken down by like 18 companies because of all the copyright that I invoked in the video. And now at long last we return to what made let's make this channel great again.
LTS is leaking your build in YouTube chat.
Good. Everyone, go enjoy the build in my YouTube chat. Get mad.
Showing the full 4.8K.
Yes.
These are man-made borders. I don't care. I care about people, period.
Oh, okay. Do we want to... Hold on. Before we take a fucking step, do we want to take a hot guess on who here might be left-leaning and who here might be right-leaning? Do we want to... Why do they start in the middle of the debate? Because it's a preview. They open up with like light convo, and then the debate moderator will be like, haha, but seriously, guys, and then he'll ask a question, and then they'll argue for real. All right, listen. So, my mouse pointer shows up on stream, right? Yeah, yeah, it does. Okay, these two right here, listen, I just got a feeling, okay? These two are going to be left-leaning. This guy right here, 100% conservative, okay? Not a chance, all right? These three are locked in, okay? These three are locked. I am submitting my answer. It is my final answer, okay? This person over here, probably left-leaning. This person, probably right-leaning. This person could go either way. So I'm set on these five right here. The like ones in the middle. Just like specific, like statistically speaking, the little girl is probably more left-leaning. I have no idea with these two. The top right one looks more like conservative. I have no idea. Maybe it's just because she's wearing long sleeves. Do you think conservatives wear long sleeves more often? I don't fucking know. All right, let's find out, okay? Listen, so here's my here's my vote, okay? I'm casting the vote, okay?
Can I make my bet?
You want to give your bet?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
My bet.
Okay, I muted you because I had to blow my nose. Could you repeat that?
I think the one behind the one in the
Shit, louder! What the fuck?
The one behind the one in the pink dress, my guess is a hard leftist.
You the one with the hairband?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said conservative, but I'm going hard.
No, wait, the one with the hairband is obviously leftist.
Oh, okay, I thought you said it was conservative.
No, pay attention.
Yeah, I thought I saw where you're okay.
Yeah, okay, listen. Final vote. Final vote time, okay? Listen. Top left, conservative. Bottom left, conservative. This person, liberal, conservative, liberal. Okay? That's my guess. Let's find out.
These are man-made borders. I don't care. I care about people, period.
That's just
I know,
the way
I know,
we
I know.
live. Like,
I
that's
know.
there's a million Venezuelans that are in Colombia.
Yes, you care so much about American people. Congratulations. I'm not like that. I'm sorry. I do think about my community back home. You assimilate to Americanness, and that is good.
Back home, but this should be home now. This should be home.
Great.
We got one locked in. Let me know how the audio balancing is. Part 1. Oh god, it said part 1 of 2 in the fucking video.
I'm Ramos, and I host a show for Vice that's called Latinx. The whole idea behind the show is to really look into the stories and the voices and the issues that are typically left out of the conversation, right? Like what are people not talking about? One of the big things in the show is to break stereotypes, right? To really
Thank you, White.
drive the point that our community is not a monolith. No, this is what we're looking into, and that's why you're here. Because we want to see and show the right side of Latinos, the left side of Latinos, and everyone that's in between. And maybe we can find common ground, maybe not. And before I start, I also do want to remind you all that 2020 is around the corner. And as you all know probably,
Amazing.
Our community has just become the largest minority voting bloc in the country. So all your answers today are literally worth like millions of dollars for politicians that may be looking into this, right? So just keep that in mind. So let's begin. Very simple question.
Is that a weird way to frame things at the beginning? Like, congrats, your minority population has reached, like, a critical threshold, and now you all have political weight. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably not. Like, maybe it is.
Raise your hand if you
Yeah. Also, these are some pasty Latinx people, I have to say.
voted for Donald Trump.
Fuck, the little kid, the MAGA kid. Who could have known the Make America Great Again kid voted for... Wait a second. There's no way she's old enough to vote. Are you kidding me? Wait.
I think she's an adult, dude. I think you're being like...
That's a... Oh, yeah. Is it racist to say that a young person
No, I
looks...
said infantilizing.
Infantilizing?
She's an adult, she just looks young.
Okay, well, then how do you know she's an adult if she looks young? There was a kid in the last one.
I can just tell.
Oh, you can just tell.
Me and LTS are right. The whiter you are as a Latin, the more fucking conservative.
Yeah, no shit. The whiter you are, the more conservative you are, no matter what. All right. Yeah, she looks 16 to me, like easy. I could maybe her neck is too thick. I have no idea. That looks like a fucking kid to me. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, why did you vote for Donald Trump?
It was really hard to get behind him at first, especially with his rhetoric and the media and how he was portrayed through the media. I was definitely influenced heavily by that, but
I like his the initial framework, how he was portrayed through the media, as though all the dumb shit things he's gotten in trouble for over the past 2.5 years haven't been straight out of his own fucking mouth.
also really did not like Hillary Clinton as far as policy-wise, so it was really hard to vote for Donald Trump, but now that we've had a few years of him and seeing his policies, I'm happy that I voted for him.
Well, I voted for him because I've been a lifelong Republican.
Okay, easy. That was an easy call with this guy's fucking like pseudo crew cut. Easy call.
A lot of my views aligned with what he ran on. I definitely did not like Hillary Clinton, and I stood against everything she stood for, which is the political machine in Washington. I wanted someone new, someone
Drain
from
the
the
swamp.
outside. And, you know, Trump is, he's not a spoken politician. The way he talks about things, the way he doesn't parse his words. And I kind of like that.
For those of you that did not
I can't. Oh, God. The fact that anti-intellectualism has gotten so bad in this country that people will vote for somebody who speaks like a dumbass because they speak like a dumbass sure is something. God damn. Listen, I get the alienation, okay? I get listening to the politicians with their teleprompters and, you know, with their very measured statements, the way Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama would talk, the way they parse out their phraseology and everything sounds very neutral and very committee driven. I totally get the frustration with that. For you to go like turn around and vote for somebody and advocate for them because they don't talk like that, when their speaking abilities are so compromised that they are actually like commonly considered to have dementia amongst a large like portion of the population, or they will just have run-on sentences that just go fucking nowhere and they actually look like they're being spoken aloud by somebody who's having like a tongues fucking religious epiphany on the floor of a Pentecostal church, you know? Or they're just having a fever dream, they're mouthing out. Like that's whew. Oh fuck. Hey Pig Puncher. Hey Pig Puncher Fanarinos. Happy to have you here. Enjoy.
not vote for Trump, do you have any questions for them? For the ones that did vote for Trump?
Where do you begin?
I would love to answer them.
As a woman, how sway?
I'm thinking that you're referencing to the one phrase that everyone loves to reference to about grabbing, right?
That phrase, just any way he treats his women, the way he treats his daughter, his rhetoric on
have to be
Twitter, like
specific. You
anything.
can't-
He's a creepazoid. But continue. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Creepazoid.
Joe
Holy
Biden.
shit. This chick's cool as fuck.
It's definitely not a creep.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's plenty of
Or Bill.
creepazoids out there, like. But as far as I'm just
What
gonna
about
use
Bernie?
what most people use when they talk about that and him referencing grabbing women by the, he was talking about women who let you grab you by that, and there's
Yes.
plenty of groupies
Yes, he
out there
was.
that will do.
I was right. Top right's a conservative. I'm so fucking smart. Yeah, there are groupies who let you like grab them by the pussy. Donald Trump wasn't talking about that. Do you think that do you think that maybe it was a mistake to focus so much on this? Like, do you think that at a certain point we should have recognized that Trump supporters are like mentally deficient, and we shouldn't focus on things that they could like defend, like, oh, actually in this context it's acceptable, and just try to hammer them in really hard on like Trump's general stupidity? I have no idea. Maybe I retract that statement because I feel like there's literally nothing people could like mock Trump for that Trump supporters wouldn't then like, jump behind. If Donald Trump personally showed up to like the average Trump supporter's house and started shitting onto a dinner plate, they would eat it up while talking about how hard they're owning the libs. I don't think there's anything he could do. Funnily enough, the only pushback I've seen against Trump from the far right has been on JQ stuff, where if you go so far right, they start to hate Donald Trump because he is also a slave to the Israeli, to the Zionist, puppeteers that control the world. So it looks like the only way to get conservative people to not like Donald Trump is to make them believe he's not racist enough. Wayne, man, yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, yeah, like Trump supporters are actually like beyond the fucking... I have no idea, dude. It's crazy.
Do that, and they have been in existence for a long time, and they're going to be existing for forever. So
talking about groupies?
That's what he's referencing to. And me, being a woman, I don't carry myself that way, so I didn't feel any type of way about that phrase because...
Ooh, right there. Oh, God, it feels so fucking good. So... We know exactly what she just did right there. She just said that she didn't care about his statement because she doesn't carry herself that way. Oh, man, oh, yes. Well, I'm not a slut, so I didn't really have a problem with that comment. Oh, baby, absolutely. Give it to me. Give me that self-hatey shit. I don't know. That skirt's looking a little bit short. Can't get a man looking like a harlot.
I'm not letting people do that to me, so he's not talking about me. So I just, See,
what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, I like to rape chicks. Oh, well, I don't let boys rape me, so it's not a problem for me. There will always be rape victims. Whew. Oh, that's some good-ass logic right there. Yes, I love it.
Women who put themselves in that position and are...
Just don't let them rape you, forehead.
...are doing that, like, they asked for it. That's what they're out there doing.
So you're saying...
Oh, wait.
...position and are doing that, like, they asked for it. That's what they're out there doing.
So this is like the pathological like line of defense. It's not possible for a Trump supporter to just say, yeah, Trump made a stupid... I have literally never heard this in my life. Yeah. Oh, holy shit. Patio with the tier 3 sub. Thank you so much. That's incredibly generous of you. This girl make me full Prasad gang. The only giving Vaush money, the only worthwhile practice, you plebs. It's true. I will. If you give me money, I will personally defeat her. But this is a Trump supporter can't ever just say, "Oh yeah, that was a stupid statement. Trump shouldn't have done that." Nonetheless, they can't do that because critical thinking and introspection and like compromise, these are not characteristics that accompany conservative thought. So if they like Trump, he has to be the 1900 IQ fucking 68D chess playing godlord of politics, and everything he says has to be infallible. So you have to go to great if he makes a dumbass statement like, "Oh, grab women, they'll let you just grab them by the pussy," you can't just say, "Oh yeah, okay, that was fairly unpresidential." You have to go full tilt. Actually, he was talking about groupies, and groupies are sluts, and there will always be sluts, and I'm not a slut, so I don't really care what happens to them. So it didn't bother me because he was talking about what he does to sluts, which are worse than me. So it doesn't bother me. They have to go. They have to go the full. They have to do it. Am I getting effed? Amazing.
You're saying, so you're pretty much saying the same thing as a woman walking down the street with a miniskirt deserves to get raped.
No.
That's the same thing, honey.
No, that's not a groupie. That's not a groupie. A groupie is someone who purposely hangs out with people who are rich and with money and looking for handouts. They're asking for them, putting themselves in that position. That's the
to
people
be raped?
It's not
or sexually assaulted?
What you wear,
those people can
and things
still
like
be
that.
raped.
That's not how. What?
Those people can still be raped.
Okay.
Like, it can still be a
But yeah, I didn't say that. That's not what I'm talking about. That's really taking a stretch.
And not being able to understand. Okay, wait, listen. Okay, wait. Hold on. Wait. This is really important. Okay? Hold on. Wait. Paint stream. This is something conservatives the conservatives do all the time. This is something that Destiny talks about a lot in his stream, okay? It's called extrapolating an argument from a person's fucking insane rambling, okay? So the conservatives talk like this, okay? When conservatives talk about their values, what they do is make a jumble of incoherent statements, some of which are contradictory and some of which aren't. And inside of this, there are 1,000... Like, let's listen to that chick, okay? So... Hey, do you have a problem with Trump's grab him by the pussy comment? No, cause he was talking about groupies and they ask for it, and I'm not a groupie, and those groupies put themselves in those positions, so I don't really care cause I'm not one of those girls. Okay? So that's not an argument. That wasn't an argument she just made. However, if you want to make it into an argument, if you want to extrapolate an argument from that, you have to do a little bit of... You got to piece it together, okay? You got to Frankenstein an argument out of that. So, as a reasonably intelligent person who did not get his ass and head switched at birth, I know that the actual statement that is being made here, fundamentally, is one akin to groupies and or sluts either cannot be raped or sexually assaulted, or it's not as bad if they're raped or sexually assaulted. That's the only cogent argument she's making here. There's no other way to turn her incoherent rambling into a statement. And then this motherfucker over here in the top left makes that argument, and then she backs off. Oh, that's not what I meant. Why'd you have to take it to that place? I'd say the argument is, well, they're sluts and they dress provocatively, so they deserve it. Yeah, I mean, I basically just said that. What?
Friend World was banned, and yeah.
No shit, Friend World was banned?
Yeah. You can look it up. Also, apparently Steven has pardoned you.
Wait, really?
Somebody said it in a donation.
Oh, no. Steven hasn't, pardoned me.
Well,
Hey! Get yeeted, Nazis. Yeah! Yeah! Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. Yeah!
I'm chalking this up to your Friend World video.
I didn't do a Friend World video.
Okay.
I rambled about it for 15 minutes on stream. Can we focus?
Okay, you suck. Never mind.
Anyway, so, as I was saying, this is how conservatives talk, okay? They make a bunch of rambly, incoherent statements in a desperate attempt to defend positions that are more or less indefensible. Or at least they're not defensible while taking the basic positions that you actually hold. And then it's from the Flat Earth debate episode. Yeah, so it's yeah. And then, since it's not an argument, you have to extrapolate one out of it. But because they don't like their rambling being turned into something cohesive, because that way it's much easier to attack, they jump away from that. That's what you have to do. Every time a conservative makes a rambly non-statement, you have to hop back and go okay, here's the argument you're making. Yes or no? If yes, let's continue. If no, why? But it really is telling that that conservatives are like toddlers learning to walk, you know? When you're arguing with them, you have to help them make their own arguments as they stumble, you know? It's kind of cute a little bit. They're trying to walk, and they're they're groupies, and groupies ask for it and they're bad. And then you're so you mean groupies can't get sexually assaulted, or it's not as bad if they do? And then no, and then they trip and fall and start crying. That's basically the level we're dealing with here, but that's okay. I love kids.
From what I heard, that recording, he was like, sometimes I just see a woman and I just can't resist with my lips, and I just grab them by the pussy.
It didn't go like that, and I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Hillary. But at that moment, when that offended me, I didn't know the context of it, which is what she's trying to explain. Obviously, the media and radio likes to cut things in bits and pieces so that...
Are we a little bit worried that the state of internet discourse in 2019 has led to a point where I can say I like kids or I love kids, and the chat starts making lolicon jokes? Are we a little bit worried about the state of discourse at this present moment in time? I'm just something to ruminate, okay? Whilst I illuminate the problems in this video. I got that rhyme from Friend Like Me from Aladdin, which I have stuck in my head also.
You only hear the bad stuff, and they obviously frame it so that you do think, oh, he's talking about raping women. He's talking about grabbing them by the, private parts, and that's just how he is. He's a terrible person. His daughter being a creep, whatever it is. He was talking about groupies. I mean,
even if he was talking about groupies, he's also made comments about how he might fuck his daughter if they weren't related. He's also made comments on, well, not just comments, he was accused of raping his wife in a book his wife wrote. Not just rape, but like sexual abuse and domestic assault. He's had open rape charges brought against him and sexual assault charges. This hyperfixation on whether or not he is or is not like problematic in his views towards the sexual treatment of women in regards to this comment specifically is I want someone else here to bring that up. Like anything. Please.
I have hung out with my very wealthy friends and around groupies. These women don't care. They're the ones also grabbing males' private parts. They're the ones that will twerk for $1. Okay, I'm recording on my phone. I was at the Standard last Saturday, and a big yacht drove by full of women in thongs, and all of them were twerking. All of them were doing grotesque, awful things, and the guys.
Wait, what grotesque, awful things? What the fuck are you talking about? Twerking? God, fuck. Sex negativity is a fucking cancer on the human mind. Holy shit. She's doing the exact same shit. Listen, he was clearly talking about groupies. Now let me go on a 5-minute diatribe about how groupies are fucking disgusting subhumans who deserve everything they get because of their promiscuity. Jesus fucking Christ. Do you think maybe it's like a tragic story? Maybe this chick was like 12 or whatever, and she was like walking down the street to go to school, and she caught a stray twerk to the face, and it like busted her face up, and it was like the supervillain origin story. You know what I mean? Like when Joker got thrown into the vat of acid. You know? I don't know.
They're pouring champagne on them, and those are groupies. Those are women that.
Is that okay?
Want to be seen
no,
that way,
it is not.
So,
this is the most ridiculous thing. For me, as a woman, nobody has a right to touch your body. I don't care if you put your tetas in their face.
Hey.
If you say no, nobody should touch you. I don't care what you're wearing or what you're doing. I don't care if you're talking about. You could be so-called respectable.
We're in agreement on that,
nobody still ever has a right to violate you in any kind of way.
They're mad. They're seething. They're like, I mean, yeah, people don't, but groupies. They're seething. Look at them. She's having an existential crisis right now.
And it doesn't matter what socioeconomic status you come from. It doesn't matter what you
Go
look
off.
like. I don't care if you rubbing on him.
Go
From
off,
the moment
queen.
that you say no.
Yeah, but I think you're
completely
referring
agree.
to rape.
I completely agree. Nobody's arguing with that.
What are other questions that
No,
you have for?
I would have gone for a whole video just listening to these this stupid fucking internal misogyny bitches talking about how actually it's okay to sexually assault people if they're groupies.
One of the Latino Trump supporters that are here. Another question.
My question has to do with the fact that people always claim that Trump is outside the political realm of being bought. How do you see him as outside the political realm?
He came from the private sector. He didn't come from a lifetime of quote-unquote public service where these people make millions of... Don't get yourself confused.
Yeah. Hey, listen up, folks. Listen. Trump's not like those politicians. Trump didn't come for an environment where people make money off of other people. That's why I chose Trump. Politicians, the way they make money, just, you can't trust them. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Bernie Sanders is a multimillionaire with 3 homes.
Bernie Sanders takes the train to work. Bernie Sanders shops for groceries himself. And listen, it's irrelevant. Even if Bernie Sanders was because now it's like a big meme, right? Like, hey, he talks about socialism, but he's got the 3 houses. Even if that was 100% true and not like a mishmash of misinformation cobbled together to discredit him. Even if it was the case, it's not a fucking argument. What the fuck? Imagine supporting Trump and then giving somebody shit for having money. I have no idea what like soup, what like flavor of the day soup this guy's got rattling around inside of his skull. I have no fucking idea. Is it chicken noodle? Is it clam chowder? I have no idea what's going on up there. Is it chili?
Anyway, all I'm saying is that, yes, I see what you're saying, that they're all wealthy people, but at least
He hasn't made anything even close to being a fucking argument.
came from the private sector. At least he, worked himself for that money. And yes, I know you're going to say, well, he took $1 million loan from his dad. Still worked for something. Whereas you have...
What a incoherent... yeah, it came from private sector. There are politicians who make money. He didn't make... I mean, he made all of his money himself. Yeah, he got $1 million loan, but so what? Like... For one, it was more like hundreds of millions in the assets he got. And for two, it's not an argument. They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't make an argument. They're not capable. They lack that critical information. It's just incredible to me. I used to think, listen, when I was like really young, I thought like liberal, like versus conservative, Republican versus Democrat. Oh, we're good and they're bad. Okay. And then I got to like high school and I started to think like, oh, okay, no, it's more complicated than that, Yeah, like both parties are like pretty similar. And then I went to college and I thought like, oh no, the Republicans really are evil. And then I got a little bit more into theory in like the fucking leftism and stuff. And then I was like, actually, no, they really are the same. Both of them serve the interests of capital. But I have finally arrived at the true position, okay? Democrats and Republicans are both really bad for America, but Republicans are fucking retarded, okay? They're subhumanly low IQ. It is I have never heard a Republican make a good argument. That's the difference. I have occasionally found Democrats who can make an argument. I have never in my life heard a good argument from a Republican or from a conservative. It has never happened. They can't do it. They are constitutionally incapable of making decent arguments. Look at this smug motherfucker over here. I know he's canceled for chat right now, but look at him. Look, like he thinks he's made an argument. Like, well, private sector good. Bernie Sanders has money and he only got $1 million. Libtard. This guy thinks he fucking slammed. This guy thinks he fucking nailed that argument. God, it's so fucking infuriating. Jesus Christ. All right, listen. You know why I support Medicare for all? Okay, lobotomies based on political orientation. All right, they can do our fucking manual labor. All right, until automation takes it from them, and then we can go sweep them off the street. What?
You said the R slur and then also said some humanly low IQ.
Yeah.
You need to do your disability stream before you can say the R slur again. We talked about this.
Oh yeah, I have to do a stream. I have to do a stream advocating for the rights of disabled people before I can say retarded again.
Don't say it again.
Wait, I say subhumanly low IQ like every 3 minutes.
You said the R slur and then you said subhumanly low IQ. You know the R slur means autistic and you're autistic and you're not dumb and you know autistic people are dumb. Say sorry.
Do you think I was calling Republicans autistic?
You're a bad autistic representation.
I'm so sorry for all of the autistic people that were hurt with my language. In the future, I will work to better represent your interests. I love you. You're all beautiful, okay? Us little autismos gotta stick together, okay?
You're such a bad rep.
Career politicians, Bernie Sanders has never held a job in his whole life.
For one, that's factually untrue. And for two, imagine how rotten your brain has to be to believe that the only valid kind of job is making money for a boss and not serving the public with rigorous day in, day out, over long hours public service work. Imagine if the only valid work is providing excess labor for your employer to scrape off of you.
not one. Yet he's worth millions of dollars on a salary of $180,000 a year. Can you do the math for me on that? Because I can't.
Let's twist it around now. For those of you that did vote for Donald Trump, what is the biggest misconception that liberals have about you?
Wait, why are we just letting him get away with the bad arguments? Did they like clip that out? Everyone there should be able to dogpile him. We were talking about Trump. Why did you start rambling about the fucking Bernie Sanders talking points that have been running on Fox News over the past couple of weeks?
For being Latino Trump supporters, what's the biggest misconception?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is
that we're dumb.
The media paints people with a broad brush. And, you know, when it comes to racism and stuff, they say, well, you know, you're for this or you like this. Well, you know, you're a racist then. And, like, so you paint everyone as a racist when, like, you know,
this guy's
racist.
What
kind of friends I have? Do you know, like, who my
what kind of friends I have? Listen, and I love this because conservatives always do this, okay? Conservatives 100% of the time, okay? 100% of the time, bitch about the media painting a broad brush. Oh, we're not all like that. We're not all racist. We're not all this and this and that. And they always fucking are. They get so fucking mad. They're desperate. They're desperate to distinguish themselves from the fucking chaff, but they never can be. Conservatism is all chaff.
I'm like, do you know who I hang around with? Do you know what I stand for?
Holy
like,
shit.
you can't just automatically.
Well, we do know what you stand for. You voted for Donald Trump, and it doesn't matter who you hang around with. You can have black friends and still be racist.
Paint everyone who's a Trump supporter as a racist because honestly, that dilutes from real racism.
Nope.
Right. What is real racism?
Real racism is right off the bat assuming things about a certain race or religion right off the bat.
If I'm going to say something.
All Mexicans are rapists, murderers, and thieves. They're not sending their best, and some I assume are good people.
Real quick. In the United States, when we talk about what we deem as politics, we tend to conceptualize it as Democrats, Republicans. It's a binary. So binaries can be very dangerous. So we have white, black, man, women, gay, straight. Someone in the binary, a group, will be privileged. Men.
Are we about to radically centrist?
Yeah, so black, white, white. We live in this patriarchal, heteronormative
maybe
world
not.
that is systemically racist. Racism manifests in many very different ways. And that is important for us to understand.
Maybe because you're manifesting it because that's all you think about.
So
I want to kill myself.
real quick, the binary, anything that
racism.
falls outside of the binary then becomes an other. So what I'm seeing in this argument is that we'll say, well, Donald Trump this, well, Joe Biden did this too, right? These are politicians. We're speaking in binaries, which is why I'm an independent. I lean more towards the left.
I'm sure this guy's politics are fine, but he's not doing a very good job of delivering his point right now.
To reduce politics, the governing of people, to this binary is extremely dangerous.
Do you think that by voting for Donald Trump, they're voting against the Latino community?
The Latino community isn't homogenous. That's why we're
Right.
here, right? The Latinx community. There are class dispositions, right? There are gender dispositions. There are sexuality. There are differently abled folks. There are all these kind of levels and sociological.
This is weird. I've never heard somebody so like specifically like express intersectional politics, like vocalize their awareness of it, and then not come out and say like, yeah, Trump is bad for Latin people. I've never actually heard this unique intersection of being aware of a problem and not being like coming down hard on that problem. It's interesting. Maybe the truest centrist.
Concepts constantly playing at the same time. So to consider us the Latin community, I think there is no such thing as a community. There are communities of Latin people. So perhaps you are voting in the interest of what you believe to be part of your Latin existence. But as I see it, coming from poor brown communities, absolutely, I think it'd be voting against yourself.
Okay, that took a lot of words, but all right, we made it there. That's okay.
Something that I felt was very dangerous. She said racism is I don't want to misconstrue your words, but
Get her.
you said something along the lines
Tara,
like
throw it out with
racism
your
is
teeth.
happening because we're manifesting it.
Yes.
I'm a woman of color. Racist.
Oh, this stupid bitch in the top right. Look at her. She rolled her eyes when the bottom right said woman of color. Look at the top right.
Racism is happening because we're manifesting it. I'm a woman of color. Racism happens to me every day. I have to be pendiente. I have to be aware of it.
Like in
because
what
I
way?
want.
Like what?
Okay,
Can
let
you
me
tell
finish,
us about
but
the
can you let
racism?
me finish?
interrupting.
It lives in my life.
No, this dumb bitch in the top. Look at her face.
Let me finish. Thank you. It lives in my life every single day. As I walk, as I get dressed, as I go to a store, as I go to a supermarket, every little thing that I do, race plays a part of it in my life as a woman of color.
So would you?
So you can't. Again, thank you. Appreciate you. So you cannot say that I'm manifesting it if I live in that life and if I live in that world every single day. You don't have to live the life that I do. So you cannot say I'm manifesting it if it's something that's in my everyday natural world.
Would you guys agree with the blanket statement that Trump supporters are racist? Do you guys agree with that?
Okay, wait. I need to make my position. Okay, for one, we stand. For two, okay, and I want to make my position clear. I don't actually believe that all Trump supporters are racist. I don't actually care whether or not a person is racist. That's not actually important to me. What I care about is whether they enable racist thought, like whether they spread racism. So are most Trump supporters racist? Almost certainly. Yeah, probably almost all of them. Or maybe even all, I don't fucking know. But that's not what's important to me, so I don't focus on that question. It's whether or not they promote racism, whether or not this is good for racism. Like, does it enable racism? And the answer there is yes, unquestionably. Every Trump supporter, every conservative, every Republican, all of them support and enable racism through their decisions, through their policies. So again, the question of whether or not they're actually racist, this isn't a good rhetorical statement to take. Like here, let me give you an example. Hold on, really quick. This is important, okay? So as some of you know, a week ago I made an edgy tweet about trans people. Whatever, it's irrelevant now because that's how the internet works, okay? However, after that tweet, a bunch of people got really mad at me, and some of them called me transphobic. Now, I know I'm not transphobic. Like, I know that for a fact. In truth, it doesn't really matter whether or not I am transphobic, only that I think I'm not. And I think I'm not. And because I think I'm not transphobic, accusations that I am transphobic are not going to be taken seriously. It devalues the accusation because I feel as though, well, they've already made one factually incorrect statement in which they made assumptions about my values. Da-da-da. Now, the statement, this tweet furthers transphobia or enables it or whatever, that's a totally valid statement, one which I might disagree with contextually, but it's not one that I can just dismiss offhand. So this like, you're racist, everyone is racist, while probably true, as a rhetorical device, it is a lot more effective to instead say, this enables racism, this brings about racism, this supports racism, because that way they have the out of ignorance, whereas you are not effectively impugning them with what is considered to be a tremendous moral crime, at least in most circles, which is to be racist. Anyway, just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is yes.
So let's go back, to Trump. Who here thinks that Donald Trump has done something positive for the Latinx community, the Latino community?
His prison reform affects...
Bring up the fucking unemployment rate. Fucking do it. They've been jerking themselves off since day one, even though it's just a continuation of Obama-era trends. Let's do it.
Minorities in a positive light, not just African-American community, but also Latinx communities as well. His reform for the prisons has positively affected...
I'm not actually that familiar with the prison reform.
I'm not here as I moved here from Colombia to be in America.
Oh, a fucking immigrant? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were wait, did you vote? When did you move? I'm sorry. I thought this was an Americans only discussion. I didn't realize that we'd be dealing with fucking immigrants.
I'm not trying to continue to focus on Latin American problems because I live here. So when I look at what the president is, whether it's him or Obama or whoever comes next, I'm looking at it as, what is he doing for Americans overall? Is he cutting taxes for us, the middle class? Because there's a lot of Latinos that could fall there, obviously in poverty as well. But what is he?
No. What does the American middle class need right now? Let's think. Of all the problems the American middle class is currently suffering, let me think. Ah, yes. Tax cuts. That's what the American middle class is crying out for right now. Amazing. That's amazing.
Doing? How is he loosening up the free market economy so that we can create jobs?
His economic policies,
right?
sure.
His economic policies for sure. So there's more Latinos. Unemployment is down for both for blacks and
the
Latinos.
Unemployment level of the Hispanic community is at the lowest rate it's ever been in the history of the United States.
They can't. They can't. They're gonna fucking nut. Yeah, it's continuing about what? Watch this, guys. Watch this. Okay. Wait. Watch this. I'm gonna show you Trump's economic policy in regards to. Can we get rid of this? Go. There we go. Okay, listen, watch this. Okay, so this was George W. Bush's term. And this was Obama's term. So to then point at this and say, wow, great job, Trump, while Trump is actively engaging in Keynesian economics by forcing protectionist policies, by going to a trade war with China, by throwing tariffs, which every economist, every major economist in America disagrees with. So fervently did they disagree with it that his chief economic advisor resigned in frustration after Obama wouldn't take his advice. He's been subsidizing the fucking agriculture industry because they can't keep up with all of the tariffs and the way in which it's hurting business. So I don't know how we're doing like economics wise, but this seems a little weird to take credit for this when Republicans were giving Obama shit for this. Actually, maybe it is a consistent position. Since Republicans would constantly give Obama shit over the 2008 financial crisis, even though it had nothing to do with Obama, maybe it's also consistent of them to give Donald Trump credit for this, which had nothing to do with him. Maybe Republicans just like ethically, like Republicans think it's a moral ought that presidents should be credited for the successes and failures of their of the person they're replacing. I don't know. This is so fucking stupid. Hey, the Keynesian model isn't just like that. Keynes was No, I know Keynes was the inspiration for the New Deal. Not that I'm a huge fan of the New Deal, mind you. I'm aware of that fact, but it doesn't change the fact that this is like poorly implemented Keynesian economics. Can we focus on the video? What's wrong with you people?
Started before he was
like a policy that affects everybody, not just designed for one group of people.
Right.
Like there's Native Americans that need help, they're
I don't
their
care
lands
for
are
you
being
to
trampled on,
design
something like
something
that.
for me because I'm Latin. I care that you do what you do for Americans because we're all Americans.
Yeah, like don't do it because of, the way I look or because of my cultural background, but do it because I'm here already, I'm working, I'm paying my taxes, do something that with a vision for the future that I can, that really benefits me, not just because you feel bad for me,
Right. Does someone want to respond to that?
It's always fun watching the white passing Latin people get to be like, yeah, I don't really care much about my Latin heritage. I don't really care if Donald Trump does anything for our community. My community is America. Ex degenerate. I'll look at donations soon. You little fucking goober. Yeah, this is race blind nationalism, and this is fucking, you guessed it, this is component of fascism. You see, allow me to elucidate. Class consolidation is a really, really big part of fascism. It's the idea that regardless of your personal interests, you should all consolidate your voting bloc into the collective interests of the state, of the nation state. Fascism does not necessarily, though it almost always is, fascism does not necessarily need to invoke like an exclusionary whites-only superstructure. In fact, it is very often beneficial to fascist regimes to convince the more right-leaning members of their racial minority groups that they are part of the hegemonic ethnic and national identity of the country, which allows them to consolidate more power before they inevitably start kicking people out as the standards tighten. Why? What?
Can I say two things?
Why?
Can I?
I mean, sure, you've already fucking interrupted me literally like mid-sentence, but yeah, what?
Good. One of the dudes from the video is in chat and has been for a while.
Which one?
Jose Morales, the dude with the headband.
Oh, hey, dude with the headband. Looking good.
He said he'd be down to talk to you on stream if you're interested. He joined the Discord, so there's that.
Nice.
And also, I've learned that gusano, which means worm in Spanish, there's also like a Latin slang term for like chud.
Yeah.
So I just think that's funny.
Nice. Amazing. All right. Fun clanging. We all had a good time. So what was I saying? I wouldn't know. My fucking train of thought has been interrupted. No. Okay. Fascism looks to consolidate the interests of the working class with the interests of the state. And one way of doing that is by implementing this veneer of race-blind nationalism. The idea being essentially that, hey, your racial identity does not matter. Your culture, your history, none of this matters. You are American now, and you will vote in the interests of the American, and we will tell you what the interests of the American are. And then invariably, as the power base is consolidated and the standards are tightened, that means that the non-white or non-hegemonic groups that were consolidated in the first place will slowly start to get excised. This has happened in many fascist regimes. It's a really good way to build an early power base. Now, that doesn't mean just because this is a fascistic element of thinking, that does not necessarily mean that this is, oh no, we live in a fascist government. I'm not trying to engage in alarmism. I'm just saying the argument that is being made here is literally an argument for fascist voting tendencies. It is expected in a representative democracy that everyone vote in their own interest. It's the only way to ensure that people get that there are constituent representative votes for members of the population. That's how it's supposed to work. You vote in your own interest. Got time to talk about anarcho-syndicalism today? No!
Is it important to do something because of the way that the color of your skin is?
So like I teach this stuff, right? So I'm finishing my PhD. I teach about this. Teaching a master's course on it right now.
Amazing.
Race. Or
no wonder he's so careful with his words. Fuck.
Ethnicity or gender. These conceptualizations that we have were brought into existence for particular political purposes. There is no biological essentialism to this. These are political and social constructs. So we've created laws that have historically murdered people for phenotypes, for genders, for their sexuality. So we've done this historically through policy. I don't see why we cannot also, through policy, create different types of reparations for people. There are different ways. So there are different ways that these things manifest.
Is conservatism inherently fear-based? Yes. 100%. Conservatism is and always will be about fear of the hierarchy not being in its appropriate place. Like who being on top, who might be on top, who should be on top. It's fear that order isn't right. That's what conservatism is.
Yes, and we can talk about the nuances of this as well, but yes, I do believe that people who have been historically disenfranchised through the United States, through their policies, yes.
When I say something like these words, that Donald Trump said, Mexican immigrants, they're criminals, they're rapists, they're bringing drugs.
I'm ready.
In countries like El Salvador, Haiti, and African countries, they're shithole countries. Who here,
I'm ready.
Raise your hand if you think that is a racist remark.
Oh shit! Fucking Chud Blaster 69 in the bottom left with the crew cut raised their hand as well. What's you up to? What's the game? I need to hear what's the rationalization?
For those of you that did not raise your hand, why do you believe that's not a racist remark?
Because it was misconstructed by the media. So when I first heard it, I thought the same. And I was like, this is terrible that he's saying this about all Mexicans. But when you actually hear the entire tape of it, it's like, okay, here comes CNN and the mainstream media cutting off bits and pieces.
No, they didn't do it. Nope. The entire statement is up for public record. Nothing about it had to be cut or edited. This is the veneer of conspiratorial thinking that tends to like surround conservative thought. I mean, this is where the whole fake news things come in. If Donald Trump says something indefensible, it can't be because he said it. It has to be that somehow through wizard magic, by when the fake news organizations captured him saying it on their big cameras with their microphones and stuff, that somehow through magic, the words were distorted into something which they were not originally.
And he's talking about the terrible criminals, the MS-13 gangs, the people that are rapists, the people that are criminals, the people that are killers, the cartel members that are coming through the border.
I actually did listen to the whole thing, and he doesn't just stop at Mexico. He says Mexicans, and then Central South Americans, and then Middle Eastern countries. He doesn't even just go far as just Mexicans. And what is he talking about that? He's not talking about the white Cuban. He's talking about the white Latino. He's talking about the brown Central South American. This is my biggest problem with these conversations, because Latino in itself is not a race in this country. The people who are getting deported are brown. They don't even, some of them don't even speak Spanish. They speak Nahua, they speak Cachiquel, they speak Quiche. And
shit, this dude's got words I don't even know about.
The border is saying we need people that speak these indigenous languages because we don't have translators from these communities. But then it gets paintbrushed by like the Latino label, and Latino means like, you know, Hispanic and Spanish and whatever. And this is my biggest frustration. So when we're talking about Donald Trump saying, hey, these people are bringing drugs, he said some are good. Some are good.
Yeah, it's true. Some are
Some
not.
are really
Some
good.
are not.
Like, I hate when I saw that, you know, it's a little frustrating because
All of these indigenous people that you're talking about are going to end up being on our welfare system.
Do you see that little slippery do she just did right there? So initially, her contention was that Donald Trump was speaking exclusively about like MS-13 groups, like, you know, extreme criminals or whatever. But then, when pushed a little bit on it, she says, well, all these indigenous people are just going to end up on welfare anyway. Do you see how just a little bit of pushback? At first she had a problem. Ooh, fake news. The statement was taken out of context. And then you dig a little deeper down and wow. It turns out she's a racist. Amazing. She'd get some good white nationalist dick, right? I bet fucking Nikki Fuentes, another white nationalist Latinx person, or James Alsup, a white nationalist Asian person, would I think she'd stand in well with there. Yeah, you know, I'm not racist. I eschewed my racial identity when I came to this country. I vote for America now. By the way, when brown people come here, they're just going to be on welfare. So like, why let them in? I take it all back. ICE, we need you now. Make America great again, and yeet this bitch back to, where'd she say, Colombia? Right, load up the fucking Latinapult, okay? Out by the fucking border, by the border fence, set it up, crank the winch, sit her down in the seat, give her a fucking magazine, and then... she's gone. No harm done, by the way. Of course, there's a net in Colombia. It's just a big net. Wait, okay, this is stupid, but like... This is stupid, but do you think if you gave somebody a glider suit and we loaded them into a massive sling that could like accelerate them a bit before flinging them, how far do you think we could get, like just with like a catapult or a trebuchet and a person with a glider suit? You know? I'm serious. How far do you think we could get? This is more important to me than this video. Because you can't go too fast or the moving through the atmosphere would like hurt, right? Because the wind pressure, or not the wind pressure, the wind resistance, and you couldn't accelerate too quickly because the G-force would turn your insides into soup. 500 meters? Nah, no way. With a glider suit, I bet we could get a couple of miles. Listen, all I'm saying is that if it turns out to be possible that we could set up a catapult on the border and yeet them into the nearest, like, Mexican town, I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything, but I am just saying.
So
No,
wait,
that's
wait, that's
racist.
not true at all.
Oh wait, right. She said some dumb shit, so they're losing it.
On our welfare
hold on.
system.
So
No,
wait,
that's
wait, that's
racist.
not true at all. So like,
A lot of them
my
are
problem,
on it right now.
my
here
problem with-
illegally.
Who is
We're losing
indigenous here?
my
Would you like to respond to that?
Yes. Okay. So that is on us. Number one, we don't get welfare. We are undocumented. We cannot. We have to have a social security to get welfare.
Well, that's not
But they
entirely accurate.
find
Welfare is
loopholes
not,
like having
welfare is not
children.
solely
Oh my fucking god.
based the check from the government.
Can y'all let him finish, please?
So please. So again, people are ignore. For example, the biggest attendance center here is in Homestead, in the country, or the second biggest, and people are not talking about it. We're supposed to all be Latinos, and oh no, like we're all the same race, we're all the same raza, whatever. No, the reality is that Latinos are not one monolithic culture. They're not one monolithic group. There's
We
black
know that.
Latinos, there's white Latinos, there's native Latinos. And growing up here in Miami, did not start after Donald Trump. This was before Donald Trump. My family has been called Indios. They have been called Tierra Flecha. My boyfriend's. Yeah, my boyfriend's family called my family Dirty Indians, and this has been going on before Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just a fucking random figurehead
And he's gay. Double stan.
in this whole thing.
We talk about policies, we talk about immigration, but like sometimes I feel like we don't even know how to refer to each other.
Oh, by the way, for those of you who are curious, the situation as to like what kinds of government assistance people who are undocumented get is actually fairly complicated. So there are forms of taxes that undocumented immigrants pay. Everyone pays sales tax, for example. If you're filling up a car, you pay your gas tax. Getting another phone call? We're so popular today.
Sorry, it's probably nothing. Hello?
Amazing. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you've obviously you have sales tax, you have gas tax that you pay at the pump. If you are like living anywhere, you're paying some component of like if you're paying any rent, I assume undocumented immigrants don't typically own houses. You're paying taxes off of that, at least something. And what's more, the amount of government assistance you get is very variable, and a lot of it depends on the risks you're willing to take to interact with the government. The more you interact with the government in this respect, the more you might potentially get, but it also increases the likelihood of you getting ICE's attention. It's a really complicated push and pull. But the idea that like undocumented immigrants like just come over here, they pay no taxes and they get welfare, they're just welfare leeches, this is completely fucking untrue. It is massively fucking unsubstantiated. And every single economist worth their salt in the West, even the conservative anti-immigration ones, even from the fucking Cato Institute, okay, have pretty much unanimously agreed that undocumented immigration is still an economic benefit to the country. So this argument, like, oh, they're just going to come up here and be on welfare, not only is it untrue, but the implied statement, which is that they're a burden to the economy, is also factually untrue. It's double wrong. Amazing.
Or address each other. We don't even know what the color of our skin means. So how do each of you identify racially?
I identify as Latin American.
Would you say you're white, brown, like when you're...
I would say I'm white, yes.
Black, white.
Black woman.
Oh, white.
I knew it. It's funny because, and I'm not trying to be spiteful, I don't care. The top right woman is not like white passing. So that combined with the fucking statement that she's made, the statements that she's made, whew.
I guess, right? Are you talking about, sorry,
Chester Snap a wingsuit.
When you're
when you're saying like
check a box.
Like physical.
like physical?
Like,
Yeah.
just how you look. But like not ethnically.
Yeah, I would say I'm white. I mean, based on my skin color, but usually I will put like, if there's a box for Hispanic, I'll put that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if I can know.
Yeah.
Just white.
This idea of checking a box can mean a lot of things.
So that's what she's asking.
Okay.
Yeah, but
No,
it's
she asked how we identify, right? So my family is from Nicaragua, right? if that's what you want to know. Ethnically, Nicaraguan, American. I was born here, right? But my politics are very brown, black. I come from Indian people, period.
In the box, I typically put other. I'm native. I'm Pijao to be specific, and that's how I identify.
So I'm Nicaraguan, and for Nicaraguan, especially from La Costa Atlantica, the Atlantic coast, the Caribbean coast, which is indigenous, black, and Creole cultures, I'm very light-skinned, and in my family, I'm very light-skinned.
So has anyone here experienced racism within the Latinx?
The guy in the top left, hasn't talked much, but he just looks really fucking friendly to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just like the smile, or I don't know if he just has the opposite of a resting bitch face. The guy in the top left, the big one, looks real friendly to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like systemically or like on an individual level?
Like colorism level, class level?
You do whatever is in your face all day long. How have you experienced it?
So for me, within the Latinx community, I believe that colorism is a huge issue. Just as a Dominican woman, or even just dealing with people, Latinx people in general, there's like an erasure in any country of people of color. So like in our media, in our music, in every aspect of our life, a lot of the things, it's like we're erased. Like if you look at our media in Latin America, you would think that we're just the help, we're the criminals. I'm treated differently within Latinx community.
I want to say, by the way, this is something I've never really spoken on because it's so outside my area of expertise, and I know that. But like colorism really is a huge fucking problem in minority communities, in like the Black and Latinx communities. Like within their own communities, the difference between a really, really dark-skinned black person and a light-skinned black person. Like, I feel like, listen, my intersectional sociological understanding of all of these issues is generally pretty deep, but on that issue, I feel like there's a fucking ocean of resentment that I like can't even see. It's so fucking deep and so dark. I only see the top of it, you know? With when I go on the fucking Twitter threads and like fucking dark-skinned people calling light-skinned people like race traitors and shit. There's a lot of shit going on right there. I only know a little bit about it, okay? Here's what little I know. It's a problem. That's what I know. Thank you for coming to this TED Talk.
I'm either too black, or if I don't know my Spanish well enough, then now I'm not Latin enough, or I get people speak Spanish around me, assuming that I don't speak the Spanish, or it's, oh, you're black, or you're Latina, I didn't know. So it's like little things like that. It's just a huge issue of colorism that I feel is a major issue within the Latinx community.
Who else?
Amazing.
People, I'm light-skinned, so I benefit from some of that light-skinned privilege. And I'll talk about that, but I have been called dirty Mexican. I've been called dirty Brazilian. At my job, I used to work at a pet store, and this lady came to me, and I couldn't return one of her collars, and she called me a dirty Mexican. She called me a dirty Brazilian. And again, my family's been here for before 1492. We've been here for millions of years. And ironically, this lady who is European is going to be calling me a foreigner, a dirty Mexican, dirty Brazilian, etc. So race changes a lot for me. People assume I'm Middle Eastern. People assume a lot of things. Within my family, people, we come from a multi-hue family. So my grandma, she's very dark-skinned, and people call her, una India. And unfortunately, this is the reality. And in Homestead, ICE raids happen a lot, and it's predominantly affecting the Maya community there that no one knows about. In Homestead, there's a huge Maya population. No one talks about them because they're indigenous. They're just, they're just there. And it's so focused on the white Latino Miami experience as opposed to indigenous communities here in South Florida, as well as in the United States, as well as in Central South America.
Raise your hand if you are for the wall.
Amazing! All right. We need to take a short break before we go to part 2. Okay? Listen, we gotta take a short break, Reno. Hey, who's the fella that was up? What was the name of the cool one with the headband? The one who's around?
Do you want him to come into voice chat?
We can give a quick little chat. That sounds fun.
I'll add him too. He also said that the friendly-looking guy talked a lot, was heavily edited because what he said was too socialist.
Ah, shit, we stand. Yeah. Fuck Vice. Too socialist. Fuck Vice. Get him out of here. Hello?
Hello?
Hey! How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Hey! How you doing? All right. Yeah, you'll probably have to mute the stream.
Okay. Good. I muted it.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing wonderfully myself, and I am delighted to hear you. Could I, however, make a slight recommendation to you, just for audio purposes?
Sure.
On the you're using the desktop version of Discord, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. On the bottom left, there's a little gear wheel called User Settings. Could you click on that for me?
Yeah.
And then on the left side, under App Settings, there's a voice and video setting right there. And after you click on that, you're going to see a section called Input Mode, which allows you to choose between voice activity and push to talk. If you could set it to push to talk and then hold a key down to talk, that would eliminate any echo and make you sound so just crispy clean on our end.
Is this better?
Yes, just make sure to not cut yourself off, and yeah, you sound beautiful.
Got it. All right, no problem.
Thank you so much for hopping on. It's actually really incredible to fucking yell about this dumbass YouTube video and have somebody who actually like participated in making it, one of the best people who participated in it, hop on stream. How did you see the video, or how did you like hop into stream?
I'm friends with a lot of like communists, anarchists, and socialists. They just said, "Hey, look, there's someone that I like is doing a live reaction to it." So they just sent me the link to it, and yeah, I'm here.
Did I say anything terribly objectionable from what you listened?
No, I'm a little bit biased because I was there, so I know what people were saying. Some of the stuff people were saying was cut or edited like that. So I understand the point of view that you have and the reaction of what some people were saying.
Yeah, I've heard from someone saying that you said that the guy in the top left was making too radical commentary, so they cut him out of the final edition.
Him are pretty much like, well, he's a communist. I'm like a socialist anarchist, but I'm learning more about communism. My grandparents were communists, and anytime we had criticisms of the Democratic Party, I assumed they were going to include that because we were trying to say that, Democrats don't care about us either. We need to go past this political, like, two-party system. But they edit all of that out, so we just look like liberals.
Yep, because the biggest fucking consumers of these videos right here are conservatives who are looking to have their biases reaffirmed. If you go down into the comment sections of the Vice videos, almost all of them are making fun of you guys. You and the black lady. Like she experiences racism while she's getting dressed. Lamau. That girl said she experiences racism every day, all day long, even when she's getting dressed. What the hell does that mean? And if you go like further down, it's a bunch of people just like excited that they get to hear their favorite like little conservative bitch babies speak. And I do want to kill myself watching these videos. Can you help me? Can you soothe me?
I don't know if I can help you with that. I mean, we can have a ceremony and you can talk to my elders and we can have like a healing ceremony. That's about it.
Oh, I'll consider it. I mean, I've tried other ways of fighting fascism. I mean, I might as well go all out. God damn, I fucking hate these videos. I hate them so much. Thank you so much for being there to present your opinion in that video and diluting the conversation away from 100% conservative reactionary circle jerking. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I was invited to talk because not a lot of them know about like what like racial politics in Latin America, and it's huge. People don't understand what's going on there in Brazil. The president is talking about genocide, like the indigenous Brazilians there, trying to kill them. In Colombia, we have the #1 social leaders. Our leaders were killed. Right now, my community is mourning because one of our leaders died. It was killed by the Colombian government. And we have the United States coming into Venezuela, and we have the YU Nation up north protesting the United States imperialism. We've been fighting. We're still fighting. People just kind of paintbrush Latinos as like a monolithic group, and I talk about that a lot. You're gonna see in the video I talk about that a lot. We're not monolithic. We have never been. The Latino community that I know doesn't exist. But what people see on TV is just like the mestizo reality, where they assimilate here, and then a lot of them become fascists.
Do you think, in your opinion, and you know far more about this than I do, this is actually a really big blind spot that I have in my politics. Do you think there's any way for a more liberal or progressive bloc in America to directly appeal to the to the, you said there is no singular Latinx community, and I agree with you, at least from what I know, but do you think it would be possible for them to appeal to what is considered the Latinx community in a way that would like reach the conservative elements of that community? Or do you think they're just going to brush it off because they align more with the interests of like white America?
So it depends on what type of Latinos they're trying to reach. Like there are like in Miami specifically, we live in a weird bubble. Most Latinos here are conservative, and that's due to the influx of like white Cubans, and then
right, because they fled after fucking Castro, and so they came here, and now they hate everything leftist because their fucking slave plantations got taken from them.
Yeah, so growing up here, I saw that a lot. I saw people that really didn't like Castro, and Castro has helped my community, for example. A lot of people don't know that, how much Castro has helped African communities as well as like Native communities in South America. Like in my pueblos, like, people idolize Castro as someone who sent aid when we needed it, but people don't know that, and Cubans here specifically are oblivious to that. They assume that everyone has this opinion on Castro. So in Miami specifically, it's very conservative. So Trump is doing like great things for like the Cuban population until like quite recently I've been seeing like more younger Cubans being like, no, we're Latinos, we need to be more left or whatever. But how liberal they're doing it really depends. Unfortunately, a lot of Latinos in the United States are scared of socialism. We see like Venezuela, like for example with Maduro, like we see a lot of Venezuelans in the street in Colombia. In front of my grandma's little apartment, like I go outside and I see Venezuelans on the street, and my grandma is not in the street because I'm able to have a job here in the United States and send her money. You know, a lot of us are sending money back home. But with the left, propaganda in the United States is so like anti-socialism, anti anything different that's capitalist, that Latinos are very superstitious as it is, and so they buy into that. So because I don't really think of the Latin community as monolithic, it's hard for me to say liberals can do this, and that's gonna like persuade conservatives, because the conservative Latinos are pretty much conservative because they're scared of socialism. You know.
Do you think that because here is my kind of like progression. At first it was like, when I was younger, socialism bad, socialism fucks up every single time it's tried, so on and so forth. And then I get a little bit older and I get edgy and I like, oh no, actually, hang all the capitalists. Socialism is the only way forward. And then, and now I've reached kind of like this, it's not a middle ground, it's not even close. It's more like 99.8% over on the left, where where there are a lot of flaws in many implementations of socialist theory. Like, for instance, the USSR, Mao's China, Venezuela, and stuff. But then as I look more into them, and as I look harder into them, and I look not just at the theory, but at the actual historical, like, precedent to those civilizations' subsequent failures, I see that they didn't really fuck up that bad. A lot of it was exigent factors. A lot of it was foreign meddling. A lot of it was big business subverting the interests of the domestic population. Do you think that, because now I'm standing Venezuela and Maduro, do you think there's any way to bring those, I guess, those positive associations home to roost for the broader Latin community here in America, or at least the conservative elements of it, like the Miami Cubans or what have you?
I think, well, unfortunately, a lot of our parents didn't go to school. Most of my friends that are from South America, like, their parents didn't go to school, so it's not like they're the most read people. So, for example, what's happening in Venezuela, all we see are the negative effects. We assume it's the government. We don't know the reasons why. In my community, you know, they're pretty much pro Maduro. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat that. Like a lot of them are pro Maduro because he is like this, but at the same time, a lot of them have been going against him, like what's going on, because there's been an influx of Latinos, of Venezuelans in Colombia, for example, who are like, no, Maduro's like starving us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they don't know why that's going on, like the U.S. sanctions that are being placed in Venezuela, for example. We don't know why the United States is trying to starve Venezuela in South America. We here in the United States, because we have resources to be able to obtain that information. But when we migrate here, we are so busy just trying to survive. At least people who are poor in Central, we're not trying to do research as to why this is happening in our countries, because we're escaping it. We're not trying to like philosophize or see like what led to this. So unfortunately for those older generation people, they tend to just be like, this happened and I'm going to assume it's because of this. And then they see what's on TV, and we already know TV is already biased. And so they already made up their minds. The younger generation is a bit different. We're seeing a lot more Central South Americans who are socialists. Like I've friends are socialists. But if it also like race plays into that, right? So a lot of Afro-Latinos, a lot of Latinos tend to be pro-capitalism versus white Latinos. They tend to be very conservative because they don't really see us as begin with. So they don't care that United States is doing this to our countries, because over there it's the white Latinos who are benefiting from that. We see this in Guatemala, we see this in Brazil, we see in Colombia. White are pro-capitalism because it benefits them, while the pueblos, while the campo, our reservations, while our village community is suffering. And when we complain, it's like, well, you guys are just angels, you guys are just ignorant, so why are you complaining modernize?
I mean, this is generally why whiteness, at least by people who have any idea what the fuck they're talking about, don't actually refer to it as like a racial boundary. It's just a like a hegemonic power structure used to reinforce what are essentially class divides, because we have this problem outside the United States as well. I'm not that educated on it, but I mentioned it while discussing at least the first half of the Vice interview, that colorism is a massive fucking issue in minority communities, and that's because this whiteness divide, this global blanket of white supremacy, exists beyond the purview of white reach. It's something that's infiltrated other communities as well. It really does make me want to die watching these fucking Vice interviews. I nearly lost it with the black conservative ones. How the fuck do you put up with it? I have the benefit of being like a decently well-off fucking privileged ass white cis, I've got it going. So I can, I guess, at least look at this from a distance. This must be like existentially agonizing for you.
It is. I was there. I expected to meet like a white Cuban to be the one that's like, conservative, blah, blah, blah. But then when she's Colombian, and she's not like, even though she says she's white, I know she's not perceived as white. So because she's not, we were just talking about how her grandma's native in Colombia, or her great grandma, I don't remember which one, but it's so past removed there that politically she's white. And so she says things like indigenous people are on welfare, for example. Or you didn't see this in the interview, but before the interview, had already been arguing for like an hour. But she at one point said, indigenous people in Colombia don't do anything. They don't make music. And I'm just like, dude, you don't know your own history. We do make music. We're the reason, like vallenato and cumbias are because of Native and African people in Colombia that made that.
I talked to a Nazi just a few days ago, and they told me that I was talking to them about like the contribution of non-white people to American culture, and they told me that rock and roll music was made by white people. It's not fun.
It's this constant thing. So I'm here, like I was stressed throughout that whole thing. Like I'm just here, like the Mexican dude in front of me, his parents were undocumented, and I expected him to understand. And you see him like kind of battling. In the next video, you're gonna see that he's kind of like battling like what his opinion should be. And I'm here thinking to myself, like, dude, the reason why you think that way is because people don't look at you and think you're illegal. I've been called illegal so many times here in Miami because people see me and they assume foreigner. In the comment section, you're going to see people calling me Mexican. They assume I'm Mexican. I'm not Mexican. I'm South American.
You say you're not Mexican in the fucking video.
but people just perceive that onto me, and people perceive, and then if you're darker, it's even worse. People attack you. Colorism is such a big thing in Miami that I will walk past people and people will start speaking in Spanish if there's a black person near you, and they'll say racist ass shit in Spanish, but they assume that black person doesn't speak Spanish. I look at them and I'm like, man, these people are so openly racist, and it's because at the end of the day, we're all Latinos, so we can't be racist because we're not quote unquote white. So they get off on that excuse.
Do you what's your not day job, but I doubt you would have gotten brought into that Vice shit if you were just somebody off the street. What's your engagement? What do you do?
Well, locally, I'm a local organizer. I run this organization. It's a student club, really, called Global Indigenous Group. But through that, I'm actually one of the founding members of Indigenous Peoples Movement. That's an Instagram page, by the way, Indigenous Peoples Movement. And we basically like unite Indigenous people worldwide, not just in the Americas. Because here in Florida, I work with Seminoles and Miccosukes. We have a lot of culture exchange. People assume that like North and South American Native people are disconnected. And while we are sometimes disconnected, a lot of us do have culture exchange because we're relatives. We're essentially the same race. In the white man world, in their definition of race, we're the same race. So I have a lot of culture with Seminoles Miccosukes here in Florida. But my organization is Indigenous Peoples Movement, and we basically advocate for Indigenous people worldwide. And we're trying to, me specifically, I'm trying to get away from capitalism because capitalism destroys our world. I don't care about if someone's white or black. I mostly care about where we're able to respect Mother Earth and thrive with each other outside of capitalism. But capitalism is so focused on profit that they don't care about Mother Earth. They don't care about the world that they walk on. People here don't even know what trees are called, and yet they want to, it's just a capitalist world. So I'm kind of getting tired of it. Family, they're socialists.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking tired of it myself. I gotta say so. Absolutely. Listen, you don't gotta say much, all right? All you gotta say is fuck capitalism. I'm here for it. You open the fucking video by saying you don't care about borders. Absolutely. Okay, listen. Who you voting for in 2020?
I'm so happy on live television. I said fuck borders because fuck borders.
Fuck borders. Absolutely. Who the fuck you voting for in 2020? Give us the sit rep.
Okay, so they asked us like what Democrats we liked. This was filmed 5 months ago, by the way, and like the Republicans all said Trump, obviously, but the Democrats, no one was able to say anyone because it was still fresh,
Please say Bernie.
I like Tulsi. I like Bernie. My elders love Bernie. Bernie goes to reservations. He talks to people as people. So Native people love Bernie for that reason. I like Tulsi because of international perspective on things. So I cannot forget about home. A politician wants to destroy South America. I'm not going to blame him. And Tulsi is like focused on international politics, and I need people like that. So Tulsi and Bernie seem like the people I'm going to be going to. But we'll still. But those are the people. Those are my favorites right now.
Yeah, did you I don't know if you read about it or heard about it, but there was recently an interview of Bernie Sanders from it was an interviewer from a major news publication. I completely forget the name, but they were grilling him on his participation in like an anti-American march, and fuck me, I even forget the country. I don't know if it was Argentina or Venezuela or whatever the fuck, but it was sometime back in the 70s or 80s, and it was around the time that America was trying to oust a democratically elected socialist, in place of an authoritarian leader. And Bernie participated in those protests, and the interviewer was asking Honduras, chat saying Honduras. And the interviewer was like, hey, there were people saying death to America in that march, why were you there? And Bernie Sanders said, well, I didn't hear any of that, but you have to understand these people. I mean, they are literally seeing their elected representative getting like thrown out of office by America so a dictator can be put in. Like, can you blame them? And the interviewer was like, well, if you had heard it, would you have left? And Bernie said, frankly, I don't think you understand a damn thing I'm saying. So I think Bernie Sanders is hiding his power level. I think that when he if he becomes president, he's going to carpet bomb the World Bank and the IMF and every other organization that spent the past 50 years fucking over Latin America.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Like, my family doesn't like. My grandparents did not like the United States. Because of their imperialist. And they're coming from like native pueblos. Like, we're not we're not wealthy. We grew up in a house without a roof. I had to like sweep water outside of the little shack we call the home because that's the reality of a third world. I came here and I thought I was rich. We went into a 1 bedroom apartment with air conditioning, a water heater, things that I didn't know existed. And I was just like, oh my God, are we rich? And I would go to school, tell people, yeah, like my family's rich now because I thought a fucking air conditioning in Florida was like money.
Yeah, the bougie as shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Central South America, like, I don't blame people for not liking the United States. It's imperialism. The freaking Reagan committed Mayan genocide in Guatemala. It killed so many Mayans, and they're still finding bodies till this day. And that is also enhanced with the political parties that we have there that the United States plays. So I don't blame people. Like, that's human nature. You're not gonna like someone that bombs your people. You're not gonna like someone that kills your people. I think the United States people have to have more compassion for those global South. And I talk about that in the video. You're going to see me saying what the American dream means to me is people from the global South migrating to the United States and then having the privilege to ignore what the United States does to the global South. I refuse to do that. I'm not here and I'm going to ignore what the United States does to my pueblo. I'm going to continue fighting for my pueblo. I'm going to put that to the forefront. And once the United States finally takes their hands off of our land, off of our countries, then I'm going to migrate back because I love my land. I love my community. But until then, the United States getting mad at us for migrating, stop displacing us, and then we won't migrate.
Here, I have an edgy question to ask you. This is something that I've talked about with chat before, and I've gotten some pushback on it. This is mostly in regards to, or at least when the conversation comes up, it's mostly in regards to Mexico, but I think this is applicable to a number of situations. There's no denying that there are a lot of problems south of the border, everywhere, Mexico, Central, Latin America, social problems, internal conflict, most of which stems from American imperialism. But leaving aside the causes, imagine for a moment that we had a perfectly ethical United States government, as in you and I don't know, we can be buddies. You can be president, I'll be vice, and we have complete control over the way in which the resources of the United States government are utilized. Do you think there is any way in which interventionist action on the part of the United States can actually benefit the lives of the people in Mexico, in Central America, in South America? And I mean really benefit, not just, increase economic GDP output. I mean like genuinely make the world a better place. Or do you think America has no place there, no matter what, and should just stop fucking around with that area of the world?
Sorry, I forgot this was pushed to time.
No worries.
I'm going to be honest. Because of my experiences with the United States meddling into our countries, I'm very distrustful anytime they go to our countries. So I would say no in the beginning. Maybe if I see that the country was trying to do it ethically. Let's say, for example, in the people of Venezuela, let's say Maduro was trash and the United States had nothing to do with it, right? If the United States want help, they can send aid without military intervention being the reason behind it. If their intentions are good, I would say, okay, fine. But I think that anywhere, the local communities have to determine what's best for them. If the local community is saying, yes, we want United States to come help us, then I would be more willing to trust them. I'm not Mexican, so I don't know if let's say, the problems there. But I would want the United States to be away from my community as much as possible, just because the intention is always to displace us so that they can put a banana company or a bean company that they can...
So am I hearing you say then death to America?
Not the people, but definitely the empire as where it stands. Yes, I think the United States needs to basically reset itself. I wouldn't want death. I wouldn't wish death on anyone. I think, I'm not gonna. I know a lot of Native people that are like, they deport every white person back to Europe, and I understand that perception. Though I do think that people are born innocent to that. I'm not gonna blame you for what your ancestors may have done, because I don't know where you're from, but I'm assume, if a white person is in front of me, I'm not gonna assume they're like, they were Columbus themselves. I do think that people are human, and we need to grant people their humanity again. And I wish they included that, because I talked about how the Democrats ignored rural white communities in the United States.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that. I see how liberal people in the cities look down on rural white communities. And that's the same thing that happens back home. People in the city looking down on the pueblos, on village communities, because we're not city-like, we're not well-read or whatever. We have like funny accents or whatever. I think people here in the cities need to understand that rural communities feed the world. And so Democrats, if they want rural white votes, they need to stop demonizing them. Hillary Clinton did a horrible job at that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like it all comes down to worker solidarity at the end of the day. The underlying causes of this is a very irresponsible statement of me to make. However, I do broadly believe that the driving principal force behind the perpetuation of racism in the modern world today is capitalism, and that addresses to racism to fix that ail can't really ever sustain themselves without tackling the root underlying issue. At the end of the day, like all economic superstructures that have yet been tried, capitalism necessitates the existence of an underclass. And now that we live in a globalist economy, it has become possible to export the underclass, to maintain an underclass of billions and billions of poor brown people across the world, people out of the reach of news outlets and media and, well, the sympathy of Americans. So nothing really changes. I 100% agree. And core to developing sympathy for those people, I think, is drumming up the class solidarity necessary in this country to recognize that we are collectively being mistreated by our capitalist overlords, and if we are, then they must be too. I'm sorry for ending with a ramble. I should probably get back to yelling at the videos. I do, in fact, have a second part to get to. Before I depart, I would like two things from you. First, if you could rep any organizations you'd like to rep, including and up to yourself. And secondly, if you could give us, if you're so inclined, any reading recommendations.
I definitely think people should read Open Veins in Latin America. It's like a really good book. It talks about the history of United States U.S. colonialism in Central South America and how it's displaced its people. Organizations, I'm gonna shout out Indigenous Peoples Movement on Instagram. They're cool. It's very pro-Indigenous people worldwide, and that includes rural communities everywhere. If you guys want to follow me personally, my Twitter's Neoputa, Neoputa, and my Instagram is Duende277. That's Duende, Duende 277.
I cannot tell you how cool it is. I just recently started this whole YouTube streaming such and such. It is incredible to me that I am now worthy of the attention of people like you who do actual, real activist work rather than just yelling at their computer. It is incredibly cool to me, and I cannot thank you enough for all of the work that you do out there.
Oh, actually, one more thing before I go. Yeah, Dream Defenders in Florida is dope. They started because of the murder of Trayvon Martin here in Florida. So if you guys want to follow like Florida activists, Duende. Dream Defenders is a great organization. And if you guys want to talk to any of the people in the panel, I can give you a hookup with that. Outside of the right wing people, I don't know them. I don't care to know about them.
That's fair and reasonable.
The left people there, yeah.
And one last thing before I depart. Trans rights?
100%. We stand our two-spirited people.
Amazing. Thank you so much for speaking to me. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Have a wonderful day, comrade. Oh, what?
Really quick, it's Neoputa, right? Neoputa.
Yes.
I'm asking.
Oh, well, it's Neoputa, right?
Yes, Neoputa, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's my Twitter. I use it new. I don't really use Twitter that much, but I've started using it recently. And then Duende277. It's like a little elf. It's my nickname, Duende.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, comrade. I really appreciate it. The cold shoulder. Jeez. The silence. All right, such is life. Wow, that's so cool. People like care about my opinions.